Alright, and welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 1 of Stormlight Archive, The Way of Kings. We're doing Prologue through Chapter 3. I am Midnight, your host, and I am here with Mythic.
Hello.
And Darkness.
Hello.
Alright, so we're going to go straight into the Prologue, which is 4,500 years after the prelude that we read in the trailer. Also, these do have chapter titles, so the Prologue is called To Kill. Yeah, I gave a map of Alethkar there for Mythic, because Mythic's bringing the audiobook. And then we get our first epigraph, which is, "The love of men is a frigid thing, a mountain stream only 3 steps from ice. We are his, O Stormfather, we are his. It is but 1,000 days, and the Everstorm comes. Collected on the first day of the week Pal of the month Sash of the year 1171, 31 seconds before death. Subject was a dark-eyed pregnant woman of middle years. The child did not survive." So what do you think this Everstorm is that is being referenced?
Clearly, it's a
Storm
forever
that is-
storm.
Yeah, exactly. A storm that is forever.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's where they draw their power to.
Also, we'll get into it more in the overview, but as you can tell, our little epigraphs seem to be quotes from people who are dying before they die, which is
Yeah, that was totally very clear.
It was really clear. Wow.
it
Yeah.
was. It says 31 seconds before death.
Uh,
Like it always says like before death.
uh-huh.
Anyways, so the prologue has like one of the, I feel like the best intro sentences, which is, "Zeth son Villano, truthless of Shinavor, wore white on the day he was to kill a king." It's a pretty epic way to start, in my opinion.
Why white though?
I mean, they
Doesn't
explain it
hide
later.
anything.
Because they
Yeah,
gotta
it doesn't
see him
hide
coming, man.
So yeah, the white was a Parshendi tradition, and he did not question his masters. He watched his people dance to the firelight and fell over drunk. Seth did not dance or drink the sapphire wine. He was easy to miss as a servant at the treaty signing, as he was Shin, and they were mostly ignored and considered docile. His masters, who were considered savages by the more civilized kingdoms, sat at their own table. The Parshendi had skin marbled black and red, and were cousins to the servant people, the Parshmen. However, Parshendi was an Alethi word for them, meaning Parshman who can think, which somehow neither side took as an insult. So what do you think about this name, the meaning of this name Parshendi that the Alethi have given them?
And what do I think of it, or what do I think of
Yeah.
the fact that they don't actually
Parshman
think it's
who
an
can
insult?
think.
Because it
Yeah,
sounds,
I mean
like an
both.
insult. I mean, kind of surprised that they don't rise up and attack these people for saying that.
What do you mean? It's like an accurate depiction.
Like, oh yes, the Parshmen can't think, but you can. Congrats. Definitely not demeaning in any way.
No, it's an
Sounds
honor.
great.
So the Parshendi had brought drummers to the party, and normally the Alethi Light Eyes would think that sort of music to be for the more common dark-eyed people, but the wine had loosened them up into dancing anyways. Seth gets up and begins making his way through the room. He steps around the king's brother, Dalinar Colin, who was slumped over drunk at a small table, and waving away anyone who tried to bring him to bed. Seth wondered where Yasna Colin was, the king's daughter. The king's son and heir, Elhokar, sat at the high table in his father's absence, as the king had gone to bed hours ago. He was talking to a dark-skinned Azish man and an Alethi-looking man. So did you have any thoughts here on the king's family? He's got a son who's kind of like helping out. His daughter's nowhere to be seen, and his brother is apparently a drunk.
Great family.
Honestly, it's not very different from any other royal families.
Not wrong.
So Zeth avoided the air, skirting around the room and past some music spren that zipped around as tiny translucent ribbons. The drummers noted him as he passed, and Zeth thinks that the other Parshendi will withdraw from the party soon. They did not seem angry or offended, but yet they would break the treaty that they had only signed hours ago. So why do you think the Parshendi want to kill the king the day they are signing a treaty with him?
Probably because they don't actually want to sign this treaty.
You think they're like pressured into it, so they like went along with it just to like assassinate him?
I mean, hey, it's a great way to do it.
Makes sense because he didn't suspect shit from them. So
Yeah, apparently not. He had a lot of other people he wanted to blame. So as Zeth walks through the room, he notes that the lighting is made of sapphires infused with stormlight, which he considers profane. He also thinks that it has been said that the Alethi are close to making new shard blades, but he hopes that they aren't. Seth also notes that the Alethi are well dressed, with the men looking like refined generals, and the women in silk dresses, with the left sleeve being longer than the right and covering the hand. Seth then leaves the feast hall and passes the beggar's feast, which is an Alethi tradition to give the poor a feast as grand as the king's. A man with a long gray and black beard asks if Seth had seen him, laughs, and then speaks gibberish. There are also statues of the 10 heralds, although Shalash's statue seems to be missing. This was odd since the king was said to be very devout. He then continues on towards the king's chambers, knowing that it is profane to walk on stone like he is, but that he is truthless, so he gets no choice. Seth also thinks that the Prescendi explained that he wished to wear white to the assassination, as victims should see their attacker coming. So do you think there's any significance in the missing herald statue, the fact that there's only 9, or potentially the which herald is missing?
I mean, I do now.
I mean, they
See, I
pointed
didn't
out very
really.
specifically that it's odd that someone so devout would be like missing one of the 10 herald statues.
I just figured he had a falling out with him, you know?
You know, low key, that's not far off my train of thought.
You think he just really doesn't like that one herald for some reason?
Something like that.
Also, what do you think it means to be truthless? Because Seth references this a few times, but he doesn't really explain anything besides the fact that he has to follow his master's orders and he can't kill himself.
I don't know, without truth.
Give me thoughts, Darkness.
Maybe it's like you guys are gonna hate me for bringing it back to this, but like you know, like an oathbreaker,
In Warbreaker?
an oathbreaker,
Oathbreaker.
like somebody who once had
Oh, I see. Yeah.
like not having a purpose. I assume, like
Mm.
you know how some people in some religion or thing like that have like a code of conduct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like he already fucked up once. I guess he can just do what he needs to do.
Do you think he's like a criminal then, or was he like forced into this?
Technically, he's a criminal, but like I don't think it's like.
Oh,
I do crimes, so I might as well. But like, I think it's more like a forced sort of thing.
Hmm. What were you saying, I
I
think?
don't know. He murdered a king, so I gotta say he's a criminal for sure.
I meant more to become truthless. Was he a criminal? Obviously, he's been killing people now, so. But the hallway is lit by torches with flamespren dancing around them. Seth reaches for a pouch of spheres that he has, but stops when he notices blue light in the distance. He goes up to the stormlight lamps and cups his hand around one of the spheres that contains a glowing sapphire as 2 dark-eyed guards call out to him. The guards were holding spheres as only light eyes. Spears. I wrote the wrong word there. Not spheres. Spears. The guards were holding spears as only light eyes were allowed to use swords. The guards try to usher Zeth away, but he ignores them and breathes in the stormlight, the hallway going dark as life siphons into him. He thinks that he can feel the light leaking from him slightly, as humans are too porous a container, although apparently the Voidbringers could hold light perfectly. So what do you think about the fact that only light eyes can use swords? Dark eyes aren't allowed to use swords.
Sounds prejudiced.
That's
Only,
giving me
only
some
men are allowed to vote. Women can't vote.
that gave me more like Nazi vibes.
Like what vibes?
So Nazi vibes.
Oh.
In Ohio.
Yeah, basically instead of being racist versus skin color, people here are racist versus eye color. Or like almost like classist via eye color. Kinda.
No, I'm pretty sure it's still racist.
It's like racist plus classism at
There
the
you
same
go.
time. It's like a mixture of the two.
A bunch
Skin
of
color
prejudices.
doesn't matter, just your eye color.
Well, you can come in as blue. Just make sure you have light eyes.
Also, just to kind of explain a little bit, just because you have say brown eyes or something does not mean you are dark-eyed. It's literally the shade of color. So you could be a dark-eyed, blue-eyed person if you have really dark blue eyes.
My fucking colorblind ass would be like, oh my god, everybody's like, what they're not.
Everybody's a light eye. Oh my god.
Right.
And then they'd be like, you're a dark eye. No, I looked in the mirror. My eyes are light.
I'm definitely a
Yeah.
dark eyes, unfortunately.
I wonder what they would do for the people who their eye color changes. Because I know people who have some people who have hazel eyes have a
Mine-
lighter.
Mine
blue and
changed
then,
from darker to light.
Yeah, interesting.
So the guards squint at Seth as they can see the light leaking from him and ask if he is a spirit or a man. Seth just replies that he is sorry. He then lashes himself towards a distant point
Sorry.
down. He's Canadian.
Ooh, yeah.
You
You had to make a Canadian reference.
I
yeah.
did.
Mhm. Uh-huh.
But yeah, he lashes himself towards a distant point down the hallway, and the ground was no longer the ground for him, as he fell sideways down the hallway, using a basic lashing, which is one of 3 types of lashings. He hits the 2 guards in the face with his feet, and then lashes himself to the ground again, and begins to summon his shard blade. One of the guards fumble for their spear, but Seth lashes him upwards to the ceiling by touching his shoulder. He thinks that as a truthless, the only life he is forbidden from taking is his own. At the 10th beat of his heart, his shard blade drops into his hand, forming at a mist. Seth sweeps the sword along the floor and then up through the neck of the second guard. The sword cuts through the stone floor but fuzzes when it hits the guard's neck, leaving no mark, although the man's eyes smoke and burn as he slumps over dead. A shard blade
Sounds
does
a
not
lot like another sword we know.
a shard blade does not slice living flesh, but the soul itself. So what do you think about shard blades? How they appear and how they kill?
Like a lot like another sword we know and how they kill, but
Except that they don't completely
unfortunately.
disintegrate.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I don't know. This man might be doing some weird shit. I mean, I said like a different sword,
Yeah,
not the same.
it can be it's kind of similar, not completely the same, but it's similar.
Yeah, very similar.
We get any talking weapons in this?
I don't know.
Oh.
That's a possible. Get some sentient weapons. You know.
But yeah, what did you think of shard
Oh,
blades, Darkness? Especially like them like they appear out of nowhere, so like they're basically like not there, and then you have to count 10 heartbeats, and then they appear out of mist into your hand,
And more Mistborn shit.
like a mixture
yeah, I
between a
thought we were done with the
mistborn
mist.
and
The fuck? Yeah.
and nightblood.
Honestly, it would be cool if it's kind of like the thing that Kelsier did. You know what I mean? Like with the
Mm,
fire, but like it's intent based.
I see. Like if he as if he was in the cognitive realm.
Yeah, because if they're slashing, like let's say like they're able. Oh my god, how many fucking people are dying today? This is the third fucking like one. But like as I was saying,
Killing
if
people in darkness.
it's like slashing them instead of
Mhm.
like in real like in their like plane, it's slashing them like their soul in the cognitive realm. You know?
Mhm.
That'd be kind of cool, honestly.
So you think there's like these swords are kind of like in between like the cognitive realm and the physical realm type thing, and they're kind of like acting within both.
Yeah.
So the guard lashed to the ceiling begins to shout that there is a shard bearer. Zeth notes that his stormlight is running out, and he grabs the fallen spear from the ground and points it upwards as the guard's lashing begins to fail, and violet fear spren rise from around the man. The guard then falls from the ceiling and onto the spear. Zeth then drops the spear that is impaled through the guard's chest and begins to move further down the hallway, seeing more stormlight lamps ahead. He thinks that the king doesn't know he is leaving power out for Zeth, as the things he does haven't been seen for millennia. A guard then sees Zeth, and he begins running down the corridor, breathing in more stormlight. He makes his way to his storage room, making sure he's seen again before dashing inside. Zeth loses a full lashing on the door to the storage room so that it stays closed with the strength of 100 arms. He then moves to slice the stone wall across the room with his shard blade, cutting out a square and then using a basic lashing to send it towards the door as the men begin to crack the wood of the door. Once the block of stone is free of the wall, it falls towards the door and the guards as they break into the room. Zeth begins moving through a corridor on the other side of the hole in the stone wall. He draws in stormlight from some more of the lanterns and makes his way towards the king's chambers, where he sees Fearspren poking out from under the door. As he rounds the corner, some spearmen see him and take out throwing spears. Zeth uses his third lashing, a reverse lashing, on the wooden door frame, which causes the throwing spears to be drawn to it. Zeth then lashes himself to the wall and runs along it, slicing into the spearmen's necks with his shard blade and causing their eyes to burn. Soldiers farther down the hall cringe away from him, and some run while others call out for help, although Zeth easily kills a few more of them with his shard blade. So now that we've seen all three lashings, what do you think about the basic lashing, full lashing, and reverse lashing?
I like the third one. I don't know what it was called. I
The
forgot.
reverse lashing, where like things get drawn to the thing that has the lashing attached to it.
Yeah.
Seems a lot like gravity based to me.
Mm-hmm.
I also like just the thought of like being in a long corridor and then just like running on all different faces of it. It kind of reminds me of that one game I used to play. It was like a website game.
Mm,
It was like the alien one where you go like running along the walls.
I don't know that one.
You
I have no
don't?
idea.
But yeah, so basically, basic lashings basically change where gravity is coming from.
Yeah.
The full lashing causes things to stick together, and then the reverse lashing causes things to be drawn to whatever is like lashed.
Mm-hmm.
So Zeth lashes himself back to the floor and drops in the middle of a group of guards, holding his shard blade still. The shard blades were said to be gifted to the Knights Radiant in the past by their god to fight the Voidbringers. The Voidbringers were said to be made of stone and flame and be dozens of feet tall, and thus needed a supernatural weapon to kill them. If a shard blade went through a man's spine, it killed them, and if it went through a limb, it killed the limb. So do you think this story about the shard blades being gifts from a god is true, or do you think that's kind of just like a story they're told and they're from somewhere else?
Nah, that's definitely true. I wouldn't say exactly gifts, because it could just be like a side effect, but you know.
You think it's more just like they're somehow attached to like the shard's power,
Yeah.
and maybe not like directly gifted.
I mean, we definitely know it comes from like
Shard. Yeah.
I mean, they definitely
Yeah.
seem
Well,
magical.
not
It's likely they're somehow infused with some sort of power.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Maybe
it
they have a
seems
metal
like
vessel inside them.
yeah, it seems like a side effect of like, bro, I can't remember the word. Is investiture? It's
Yes,
investiture.
investiture.
There you go. See, I'm smart. I can think about it. I can think words.
Do you agree, Mythic, or what do you think? Do you think they're
Yeah, I
actually?
definitely think it's an investiture for sure.
So Zeth easily kills some more of the guards and then continues down the hallway. A door at the end of the hallway suddenly bursts open, and a small group of soldiers usher out a regally robed man. They open a side door and don't stop to stare at the corpses. Another man then steps out of the king's rooms wearing glistening blue armor with golden bands around each piece. Shard plate, sorry. The man also carried a large shard blade. Seth hesitates for a moment, as he hadn't been prepared to fight such a foe, but he wonders if this man could kill him and end his miserable existence. He wasn't allowed to seek death, but if death came upon him, he would welcome it. The Shardbearer strikes, and Seth lashes.
Suicidal man.
The Shardbearer strikes, and Zeth lashes himself to the wall as he moves back from the attack. The Shardbearer attacks again, slicing into the wall near Zeth. Zeth then goes for an attack as well, aiming for the Shardbearer's helm, but the man dodges. They continue to attack and dodge until Zeth gets a hit on the Shardbearer's back. However, Shardplate stops the Shardblade from slicing through. But the Shardplate does crack slightly, and the Stormlight begins to leak out. Zeth notes that he'll have to hit at least once or twice more to break through the Shardplate. What do you think about Shardplate, and it's like how it's kind of like a barrier against shard blades?
I mean, there had to be something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't understand. It's like they're made from the same thing, right?
Maybe. We don't know.
Well, I'm
Or-
assuming they're
or-
made
yeah.
from
Or
the
the,
same
or the
thing.
repelling things, like magnets,
I mean, I guess that works.
Where were you going
I
though
just-
with the whole thing?
I just thought it would be cool. You know, like when he gets punched or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be cool if it had the same effect as his blades, but clearly it doesn't
Yeah.
because he's still there.
What do
Unfortunately.
you mean, unfortunately? Where's Zeth?
It's unfortunate for him, for sure. He wants to die.
That's actually true. You're right.
He probably would have
Still
preferred, yeah, if he
unfortunate
got
for
killed.
him. Huh?
I said, yeah, he probably would have preferred if it had killed him. So they continue to attack back and forth at each other, neither hitting the other again, and Zeth begins to worry about how long this is taking. He attacks recklessly and hits where the plate is already cracked, causing the man to fall to his knee. Zeth kicks the man with Stormlight-enhanced strength and then hurries off in the direction the king had gone. He glances back to see if the Shardbearer is following him, but he isn't, which causes Zeth to pause and wonder if the Shardbearer is actually the king. He decides to trust his instincts and turns around to run back at the Shardbearer, who gets up into another battle stance. Zeth feints that he is going to attack the hole in the king's shard plate, but instead goes into the king's chamber and begins lashing furniture towards the king. Instead of dodging the furniture, the king swings at them with his shard blade, but the severed pieces still hit him and cause him to stumble. Zeth uses a double basic lashing to fall towards the king and swings at his helm, causing it to crack as Zeth lashes himself back to the ceiling. The king uses a one-handed swing to try to hit Zeth, but Zeth dodges and tries to get past the king's blade. However, the king seemed to expect this, and although Zeth breaks Gavilar's helm, the man punches Zeth with a gauntlet fist. Zeth screams in pain as Stormlight leaves him and his back hits the balcony doors. He falls through the doors and onto the balcony and thinks that a blow like that could kill an ordinary man. For a second he thinks he's blind, but it's just dark outside. He gets to his feet and he hears the king coming towards him and notes that his Stormlight would heal him if it could. He also notices that he dropped his shard blade. So what do you think about the fact that Stormlight can heal him?
What can't this shit do?
Honestly, one, yeah, and also fuck you for giving me a fucking healing thing finally, and it's not working. Like,
well, it is kind of working. He just says a bit that it takes a while to like fully heal you. It's not like instant.
yeah.
So Zeth screams and lashes the wood of the balcony down 5 times, and then it gives way, breaking. He lashes himself to the side of the building as he watches Gavilar fall with the balcony. He then slowly walks down the side of the building until he reaches the ground. The king was still alive, but a length of wood had pierced his side in the hole in his shard plate. Zeth moves to kneel down next to the king, and the king states that he expected Zeth to come. Zeth realizes the breastplate of the releases the breastplate of the shard plate and breathes in the Stormlight left in the gemstones, and it heals him, although it isn't instantaneous. The king tells Zeth that he can tell Thydakar that he's too late, but Zeth states he doesn't know who that is. The king then questions if Rastaris or Sadeas had sent him, but Zeth replies that the Parshendi are his masters, as 10 heartbeats pass and his shard blade drops into his hand again. Gavilar seems confused by this, but then pulls out a small crystalline sphere on a chain, tells Zeth to take it, and tell his brother that he must find the most important words that a man can say. Zeth reaches down and takes the dark sphere that seems to glow with a black light. So what do you think about this black sphere?
Here,
Spear.
Why couldn't it have been a white one?
I don't know. It's black.
I was more interested in the thing he does with the final words and what he says.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that after like Zeth actually writes it down.
Yeah, that part. That part I actually liked.
I can get to that then. So Zeth states that nothing makes sense, and that at least the king won't be here with the rest of them when the world ends. He watches as Gavilar's shard blade forms at a mist next to him, since its master was now dead. Zeth can hear the shouts of people, but he decides to honor Gavilar's last words. He dips his fingers into Gavilar's blood and writes down Gavilar's message to his brother before escaping into the night. He doesn't take Gavilar's blade, even though it's worth a fortune, as his own blade was already cursed enough. So what do you think Gavilar's final words mean?
You know the possibilities of what those words could fucking mean? Like,
Find the most important words a man can say.
no homo.
What do you mean, no homo?
Yeah, those are the most important words a man can say. They're very important words too.
Apparently. Any thoughts on those words?
I don't know. I just took it more as like something, tell the people you care for,
Why do you think he like specifically wants them Seth to tell his brother, not like his son or something? He wants him to go to the
Tell
drunk
him?
brother.
Wait,
Be like,
didn't he
tell him this.
tell him to?
He said just
Well,
to tell
the
his brother.
king's- Yeah. So I'm saying the king told him to tell his brother.
No, but that's
so
what I'm
he
saying.
was
Like, why do you think
okay,
the
I'll do it.
king specified like to tell like his brother and not like maybe like his son or something? Like, why do you think it has to be his brother?
His brother probably has more ability to do something.
Hmm.
Maybe he just doesn't want to
Not his
endanger his son.
That's true. Maybe it's a dangerous thing he's asking of him.
Cause like, what if it's like a code for like, bitch, you better take over my kingdom and keep my son safe type of thing, you know?
Bitch, stop
Like, get
being
your
the
shit
drunk.
together. Right.
Take care of my goddamn kid, Jesus.
Both his. He's got 2 kids.
Oh, only one of them he cares about.
Unfortunately. Where's his wife?
Don't know. Yeah, he also didn't say like go tell my wife. Like maybe his wife is
Yeah.
dead. Maybe like we don't know what's up with his wife.
Especially
She's not
how-
mentioned.
He probably killed his wife.
I wouldn't be surprised. Insurance
No.
money, you know.
I mean, after all, they're sexist and communist. So.
I mean, honestly, like women's jobs seem way better to me.
Oh, I know, right?
I'm like the women have it good. They don't gotta go to war, but they get to do like all the fun stuff.
What do you
Not anymore.
What do you constitute fun, though?
Well, I mean, they get to do like they get to do science, they get to do art, they get to do music, they get to be the ones to write and read.
They get to fuck.
All of those sound like women things.
I don't think in like normally like science was considered like a womanly thing in like our world in the past. But when we're expected to
Yeah,
be
but our
home
world
with the
is lame.
kids, here's women are expected to be like educated and like scholars.
Get birth.
Yeah, that's more like what our society was
Yeah.
right there. Give birth. That's all you were here for.
I feel like the men are kind of looked down on. Like, sure, they get to be like technically in charge, but it's like, oh yeah, just go fight war, go defend us. I'm gonna go do all the important stuff and actually like do stuff that matters.
Oh my god, again?
What?
Wee woo wee woo.
Oh, I didn't hear
wee
the
woo.
siren.
Oh my god. What is
Everyone's dying
happening?
today. So that was the prologue. But yeah, so we're in part 1, Above Silence, and each part lists the main character point of views, which this part is Kaladin and Shallan. And then yeah, chapter 1, Stormblessed, and then our epigraph is, You've killed me, bastards, you've killed me. While the sun is still hot, I die. Collected on the 5th day of the week Chash, on the month Batab of the year 1171, 10 seconds before death. Subject was a dark-eyed soldier, 31 years of age. Sample is considered questionable. So what do you think makes the sample questionable? Why do you think that's like that?
They were sick.
Mm.
I was
In the
gonna say
head.
maybe tainted in some way.
Yeah, sick in the head.
No. Maybe it's like sick in the body. No.
What? I mean, it is dying.
Of cancer.
Maybe it's somebody who got you know how if you like stab the core of a limb or whatever and it like stops like working and it's just flopping around.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that. Maybe he got like shanked and he's just dying in there, slowly. Forgotten. Like a waste. Without any way to turn back.
Some might say a waste. Others might say a benefit.
Death? Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep. Death is a benefit to some, for sure.
Especially if there's a will involved, but you know,
Or reincarnation.
isekai.
Gosh.
Yeah, Truck-kun.
So this next chapter is 5 years after the prologue, so we're getting a lot less of a time skip than 4,500 years.
I fucking hate the amount of fucking time skips we got though, Loki.
Yeah, we get a bunch
let
of
me
time skips right at
settle
the
down a
start.
bit.
Right at the start, it's like 4,500 years, 5 years, and 8 months, and then I think we're done with time skips pretty much. But yeah, so we move to Sen's point of view, who's just this random soldier kid. As he asks,
No, don't say random. That's literally the favorite character that I had, bro.
Random.
I'm sorry.
I'm so pissed off
we
about
can
this
confirm
shit.
that he
Like,
dies.
I had high. What?
Kaladin confirms that he's dead.
Yeah, but like I had high hopes for him, and I'm just like,
Yeto
But
says dead.
he's dead, though.
I know. Fuck you guys, bro. I didn't want to read this shit.
Oh my gosh. So he.
That's why Darkness is so depressed.
But yeah, so we move to Sen's point of view as he asks a veteran if he's going to die. He thinks that he's going to die and swears by the Stormfather. The veteran asks how old Sen is, and Sen glances
He's
around
gonna
at different
die.
ranks of soldiers, knowing the difference in weapons and armor of Dark Eyes compared to Light Eyes. He also worries that there may be Shardbearers on the battlefield. The veteran again asks how old Sen is, to which he replies that he's 15 and gives his name. The veteran replies that his name is Dalit. So what do you think about the fact that the Dark Eyes and Light Eyes have very different sets of armor and weapons? So the Light Eyes have basically full sets of plate armor. Not necessarily shard plate, but they have normal plate armor and then swords and stuff, and then the Dark Eyes have kind of more leather armor and spears.
I'm just saying,
We're classist,
having contacts in this world would be great.
right?
Also, some people gotta die in war, you know.
Damn.
Kelsier proved that.
Numerous times.
So Sen again states that he's going to die, but Della says he won't, and to stay with the squad. Sen starts to ramble how he's only had 3 months of training and he's going to die, but Dallas insists that he'll be fine because he's part of Kaladin's Stormblast squad. Fearsburn
No, he
begin
won't.
Fearsburn begin to bubble up around his feet as he worries about being on the front lines, and Dalit tells him to piss, otherwise he will do so during battle and it'll distract him, possibly getting him killed.
That's the funniest thing. Go relieve yourself right now, because I don't
Also
want to see it
accurate.
happen. Yeah, I don't want to see it happen on the battlefield, and then it
It's
still
not
happens.
really that he doesn't want to see it happen. He's more like, if you piss yourself, you're gonna get embarrassed and awkward, and then you're gonna get yourself
You're gonna
fucking
die.
killed. You're
Yeah.
gonna get stabbed.
No, it's not even that. You're gonna get distracted by the feeling of it in general.
Yeah, the feeling, the
Oh,
smell,
Oh,
the
it'd be pretty
embarrassment.
warm.
Maybe it's cold out. Maybe it'll be nice.
Yeah, right. Maybe it'll be soothing. You never know.
Or maybe
Tell
the
someone.
enemy will get distracted.
Yeah, some people
Just
like
piss
pissing
on the
themselves,
enemy. Once Sen is
Oh
done
my
relieving
God.
himself, he hears someone call out to Dalit.
Yep.
The man
Yeah,
that
what's
walked
his name?
over seemed only about 4 years older than Sen, and wore a uniform that noted him as a squad leader. Sen is shocked to see that someone so young was the squad leader. Was squad leader Kaladin Stormless that Dalit had been praising. He's also shocked to learn that Kaladin had paid to get him on his squad, as he calls Sen's previous squad leader, Gare, incompetent. So what do you think about someone as young as Kaladin being a squad leader? He's 19.
That's what gave me hope, bro. Never again. Honestly, fuck that guy. I don't know what the fuck he did wrong, but fuck that guy.
Not a fan of Kaladin?
Not anymore. Not after what happens.
I mean, you don't technically know exactly what happened.
He's at fault. That's all that matters. It's his fault.
What did you think about someone as young as Kaladin being a squad leader mythic?
Sounds pretty cool to me. Worked his
They
way up.
They promised he would be okay.
They okay. They
So
promised
Kaladin,
anything.
They
Kaladin-
did actually.
Nah.
Kaladin and Dalit then discuss different areas of the battlefield, and Kaladin tells Dalit to watch Sen since he won't know the signs. Sen panics a little as he hears horns being blown on the enemy side of the battlefield, but Dalit tells him that Kaladin is lucky. A red-haired bean man states that they only lost 1 person last battle, which is the fewest of any squads. They then get in line as Kaladin comes back over, and a lighted man on horseback goes past, telling them to get ready. Dalit tells Sen to run, which isn't what he's trained to do, but Dalit states that Kaladin is trying to get them sent to the Shattered Plains to fight for the king. So what do you think about Kaladin's goal of going to the Shattered Plains to fight?
Sounds like a cool goal. But it was not. It wasn't. Fuck this story.
What did you think, Mythic?
Honestly, I just want to keep sitting on this whole thing with Darkness right now.
Gosh.
I kind of want to listen to him, rant and rave about All
It's
this
so
is-
dumb. Like, why would you fucking? I'm so annoyed. Like, why would you let me get attached to this fucking character? Who, by the way, I knew was a side character,
It was
but
one
like,
chapter.
okay, but he was like my child, my son.
He's your child.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. So the battle
Darkness is
begins.
so invested.
I had big hopes for him. I knew he was gonna be the best soldier ever, but no.
Well,
He's
I
a
mean,
crappy
Darkness,
soldier. He
you,
panicked and ran
Darkness,
off in the wrong direction.
That's how you start off. But then you have
Darkness.
that nice ass mentor, which is this motherfucker that was supposed to protect him. But no, he got him killed, and now like he's gone forever and ever and ever.
But
Like,
Darkness, don't you know that everybody that you care about in any of these stories dies?
Yeah, right? You shouldn't have cared about him.
well, then I
caring
care about
people.
you.
You care about me? Oh well, I hope I die soon.
The ambulances are gonna
Oh.
start coming around to your place now, Mythic.
There's
a
like
lot of-
red dot lasers going into
Oh,
the fucking
God.
window.
Yeah. Oh hey, Darkness, how are you?
So the battle begins, and it doesn't take long for the other squads to break formation, which is when Kaladin has his squad begin to run. Sen almost stumbles over a rock bud as its spines withdraw into its shell. Sen thinks that he isn't even sure who the enemy is, as it seemed to just be a land skirmish between two Alethi princedoms. Sen thinks that if the king wasn't seeking vengeance for the murder of King Gavilar, he might have stopped this sort of infighting. So do you think this vengeance war has been going on for these whole 5 years, or do you think it was started more recently for some reason?
War.
Wait, what?
War never changes.
So like they mention how the new king is like fighting a war, which we learn later from Shallan is against the Parshendi for the death of King Gavilar.
Right, no, that's been happening. That's what I think.
Yeah. So you think they like figured it out right away and like started the war right away?
Well, yeah. Wouldn't you start a war if somebody killed you?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, do you think it took them a while to figure it out, or do you think they've been like warring now
No,
for 5
that's
years?
what the message was for, right?
No, all the message said was Gavilar's final words.
That's what I'm telling you. What if that was like,
Oh, you think that was like the
like,
sign to his brother?
yeah,
Hmm.
Midnight, keep up.
I'm sorry, I'm not in your head.
I mean, why not?
That would be so much easier to do the podcast.
Because I don't
Oh,
want to be in
alright.
Darkness's head. It seems like a horrible place.
You would
be
get
mine
lost.
instead. I mean, yeah, Darkness, you get lost in your own head.
That's actually, yeah, that's accurate.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
I
it.
know.
So suddenly arrows fill the sky, and Sen wants to take out his shield, but Dalit just keeps pulling him forward. The arrows fall like hundreds of sky eels, and Sen screams, but the arrows fall behind them as they continue to dash forward. Sen asks how Dalit knew that the arrows wouldn't hit them, and Dalit replies that the archers aim where the most people are concentrated. They eventually stop running when they reach a small incline that Dalit and Kaladin had pointed out earlier. Sen gets pushed into the middle of the group as 3 dozen enemy soldiers rush them for the high ground. The Kaladin squad kills a couple men and the rest back off. They continue to hold their position as the battle rages on, and Sen knows that the lack of formation is likely due to all the good soldiers being on the shattered plains. They take a few wounds but no deaths as time goes on, moving formations every so often as Kaladin makes commands using his spear and shield since shouting can't be heard over the noise of the battle. Suddenly, the battle seems to break apart, and Kaladin has them abandon their hill and try to head away from the other side's army. Sen passes by numerous wounded and dead soldiers, making him feel nauseous. So what do you think about Kaladin's tactic to outrun the arrows and find a good place to kind of hold position until the chaos dies down?
That's smart.
Seems tactical.
Also, I always did wonder because, like, it seems like that's a thing in every single movie, book, and shit in like general where there's war. They always focus their arrows on a cluster of shields, and I'm just like,
From a military standpoint, I mean, he said it in the book too. You're clustering it on the majority of people, because if you
yeah,
cluster
but
it
if
at
they
one
have
person,
shields, then there's no point.
well,
Yeah, but I think it's
I mean,
mainly to. I think it's not just to kill people. Like it also slows them
To
down
slow
because they
them.
have to take
Yeah.
the shields, and like there
I
might be people who are
guess.
too slow to get their shields. Like it just gives them a good I don't think they're like expecting even the majority of the arrows to hit. They're
Just
just
throw Molotovs, bro.
or they throw a fudge load of them.
yeah, like this is like hundreds of arrows. They're like something's gonna hit. Like even if they
Not if
like
they were flaming arrows, that would make more sense. But like normal ass arrows, like
I mean I don't know what flaming arrows is gonna really do either if you have
Nothing.
like metal shields.
Nothing at all.
what do you mean? If they bounce off, they could literally just burn the fucking ground on them and shit.
But they're on stone. There's no grass. What is it gonna burn?
Just attach like oil bottles, stuff like Molotovs.
So now you're just making explosive arrows instead.
Yes,
So not flame arrows anymore. They're explosive arrows. Got it.
you gotta improvise.
So
I
suddenly,
think they need you as a tactician there, Jarvis.
maybe they're doing those tactics on the Shattered Plains. They're just like,
I
use our
would be
little
more
land
of a
skirmishes.
like Loki. I feel like if I were in this, I would thrive.
all the
I'm
all the
sure.
good tacticians, just like all the good soldiers, are on the
Unless,
Shattered Plains. These are all the
I
dumb
wouldn't be a
people.
tactician though. I would be like a
unless
soldier.
you let it, unless you let a child slave, make you no longer care.
You know what? Fuck you for saying anything, and yeah, he's fine. He lives on in me.
And you, okay?
Yeah, I
So-
am him now.
Suddenly, a large group of the enemy soldiers start attacking nearby soldiers as well as Kaladin's squad. In the chaos, Sen gets separated from Kaladin's group and tries to attack an enemy soldier but gets stabbed in the thigh by a spear. Suddenly, Kaladin was there, keeping Sen from being killed by the soldier. He takes down 6 spearmen on his own with a mixture
Suddenly,
of.
just he appeared.
I can look. Spear and spear are really close. It's difficult sometimes. But yeah, so he takes down 6 spearmen on his own with a mixture of spear strikes and knife attacks. As Sen watches, he almost feels like he can see a warping of the air around Kaladin as he fights. Once the 6 men are defeated, Kaladin expertly wraps Sen's wounds. Sen tries to warn Kaladin that one of the soldiers is getting back on their feet, but then Dalit arrives and knocks the man over. The rest of the squad also arrives and surrounds Kaladin and Sen to keep them safe while Kaladin finishes tending to Sen's wound. Kaladin then tells 2 of the men to take Sen to safety and tells Dalit to hold here. Dalit asks what Kaladin is going to do, and he glances over at a light-eyed officer in shining plate. Dalit seems reluctant to go after the officer, but Kaladin insists that if they take him, they might be the next group to go to the Shattered Plains, where their fighting will mean something. Sen and Dalit talk as they watch Kaladin and his sub-squads fight the light-eyed officer and his honor guard. Dalit mentions that Kaladin bribes runners to come take their wounded since they usually only take back light eyes. As Kaladin stabs the enemy officer in the eye with a knife, Dalit mentions that Kaladin fights like a storm.
Great place to stab him too, by the way.
Hmm?
Great place to stab him in the light eyes.
In the light eyes. Stabs him right in the eye. But yeah, Dalit mentions that Kaladin fights like a storm, and the squad does so well because they trust that Kaladin will take care of them. He also mentions that Kaladin knows a lot about wounds and can read glyphs. Sen asks why Kaladin paid to get him, and Dalit replies that he does that for a lot of young, untrained men, and that he thinks they remind Kaladin of someone. So what do you think about
brother?
You think he has a brother?
I don't fucking. I was just making a comment.
Well, at that point, I assumed his brother too.
Yeah, brothers seem to be a big thing right now. So
Yeah, and also like we do get confirmation, right?
I don't think we get confirmation about any of his family.
I'm pretty sure we got a confirmation.
I don't remember seeing the word brother.
I thought it was like a little brother.
I don't.
that saw him.
If
like
it's a
little
little brother, we got confirmation because I remember reading about it.
I don't remember reading about a little brother.
Is it not a little brother?
He's trying to get pry information out of you.
No, I swear to you, I read about it. I'm gonna go look for it.
You gotta look
It's
it
in
up.
You
the
can
it's in
find
the
out.
chapter where he's in the like slave area.
He gives a bunch of names of people who die, but I don't think he ever says anything about his family.
Mm-mm.
I don't
He
know if you
talks
can
about
find it. I might be wrong, but like I don't remember seeing anything.
Either that or I'm like getting visions of the future.
I mean, you do
Yeah, like
read
I
like in
did
the
in the-
middle of
in
the
the one
night.
Mhm.
You're just like hallucinating things.
I'm making my own story,
I mean, hey, it's probably a better story, right?
Wow.
honestly. In this one, he lives.
But yeah,
No.
what do you think about all of this knowledge that Kaladin seems to have, even though he's just a 19-year-old dark-eyed soldier?
It seems like he's a little too powerful. Might
Well,
be some
he's blessed. He's storm blessed.
might be something that comes from that. Maybe he has a little bit of power from the shard or something.
I wish I could command F this shit, but if I do this, it's gonna show me every single fucking thing.
Yeah. So suddenly Dalit curses as a man in shard plate on a black horse arrives carrying a shard blade. He can hear Dalit calling for sub-squads to get ready, but Sen is slowly fading due to blood loss. Sen thinks that the shard bearer looks like the Almighty himself. Sen then closes his eyes. So did you like learning about a main character through the eyes of someone else instead of going straight into Kaladin's point of view?
No.
What did you think of it, Mythic?
No, I really didn't. Though. I didn't like it at all.
No?
No, not even the fact that I liked the kid. It was just in general, I didn't like the way that I thought. Thought he would be a main character, and then come to find out it's not even. We're learning from it from somebody else's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I knew we were looking at it from someone else's perspective, and I knew it was a side character whose perspective we were looking at, but
You didn't think he was gonna
why
end
would
up
you
dying.
kill him? Like, What the fuck was the whole fucking reason
Make-
of doing that
Right,
anyway? Fuck that shit.
Write a strongly worded letter to Brandon, man.
I'm gonna sue him. I'm saying it
Sue-
right here, right now.
Oh,
For
Sue him.
emotional damage.
Okay,
That's the
so
thing right here.
then we get
that
chapter.
is a lawsuit that you could do. Yes.
Okay, bet.
So chapter 2, Honor is dead.
You know who else is dead?
There's a lot of people who are dead apparently.
Honor.
There's only one that matters.
The epigraph is 10 orders. We were loved once. Why have you forsaken us, Almighty? Shard of my soul, where have you gone? Collected on the second day of Kakash, year 1171, 5 seconds before death. Subject was a light-eyed woman in her 3rd decade. Did you have any thoughts on this epigraph?
A lot of death. Kind of depressing.
I didn't give much thought to the epigraphs. I was kind of going through something.
Oh.
Oh my
You
god.
Yeah,
have
I
any
was
thoughts
mourning.
about her? This woman apparently saying, "Why have you forsaken us, Almighty?" So the Almighty is what they call, like,
Their god.
their god, basically. So she's like, "Why have you forsaken us, God?"
I feel like that's what I feel like that's what a lot of religions call their god. So
Hmm.
the Almighty. I mean, hell, I don't know if anybody here has seen My Hero Academia. All my
I was gonna make that
Oh,
reference.
no. Now all I can imagine is them praying to All Might.
That's what I was.
what I imagine every time they say it.
Oh
That's
my
what I was
gosh.
thinking. Oh my god.
So yeah, 8 months later, we move to Kaladin's point of view as he takes a bowl of slop through the bars of a caged wagon. Unlike the other slaves, Kaladin doesn't worry about getting his food stolen, as the first time someone had tried that, he had nearly broken their arm. He thinks that he has spent the last 8 months being beaten and deprived. However, Kaladin refuses to be as paranoid as the others, even though he has no hope of escape. He notices one of the other slaves coughing as the wagon rolls through the unclaimed hills. So, were you surprised to see Kaladin suddenly a slave?
No, not at all.
He deserves it for letting him
You
die.
weren't surprised that Kaladin was suddenly went from like
No, I was.
Yeah.
I was, but I wasn't. At the same time, I was thinking, okay, well, he's working an angle or some shit.
You know, I wanted to like this dude, but I felt angry. So
So a windspren flies around nearby and causes Kaladin's bowl to stick to his fingers, as they were known to play pranks on people. Eventually, he gets the bowl free of his fingers and throws it towards another slave who begins licking it for any remnants of slop. Another slave then comes over to Kaladin, glancing at the brands on his forehead, 2 making up a glyph pair, branding him as a slave and given to him 8 months ago on the last day in Amaranth's army. And the other was given by his most recent master, which was a shash brand which marked him as dangerous. The slave tries to offer some of his food to Kaladin if he brings him on his next escape attempt, but Kaladin replies that he isn't going to try to escape, as he has tried 10 times to escape from 5 different masters, but none of them worked. He thinks that after 8 months of being a slave, he barely remembers being in the army. He thinks that people used to call him lucky, storm-blessed, but he was actually bad luck, as everyone he tried to protect had died.
Yeah, wonder why.
So do you think Kaladin is lucky since he's survived, or do you think he's unlucky because everyone around him seems to die?
Both.
I think it's
Be
both.
both.
What do you think, Darkness?
I think he siphons luck from everybody around him. That's why he looks like he's lucky, but
What do you think, Darkness?
Everybody
Is he
else is
lucky or
unlucky.
unlucky?
I say he's right where he deserves to be.
Damn.
So
So Kaladin glances back out at the green hills, although the area around the wagons was bare as the grass pulls away into the stone when the wagons get near. This far into the unclaimed hills, the high storms were powerful, so the plants had learned to adapt. Another slave, one with a rash on his hand, then comes over to Kaladin and asks how he became a slave. This slave says that he became a slave by stealing a herd of chulls. Kaladin thinks that they were likely being taken to a random small town to be used as free labor, but that these areas have mercenaries, men without honor, who might come and attack the wagons. However, Kaladin also wonders if any men actually have honor. So what do you think about this, like, grass that, like, moves away from, like, the wagons and stuff? Like, it's, like, reactive grass.
alive, of course.
maybe it's also got powers.
The grass is
I mean,
invested.
it could every living thing. So
Do you remember what that one person said with the stamps?
Oh, yeah, everything has a soul.
Yeah.
Also, do you think there are any men who have honor, or do you think Kaladin is right and, like, just no one has honor?
honor is a made up thing, anyways. So
What do you think, Darkness?
I'm in the process of
Grieving?
drifting, like my likeness for the kid that died towards this
Oh.
motherfucker. So I don't know.
So the
I
slave-
feel like I'm sorry, but I feel like the only reason I'm not trying to get too into this character is because he seems to be going on the route of like the constantly falling hero. you know? And like almost every character I like has gone through that round. I'm just like, do I want to go for another one? uh,
No main characters die, ever.
Yeah, Kelsier never died.
No. Man, we never. I mean, he
or
didn't.
Vin,
He became a
or
god.
Ellen, or fucking like half
Or
the other fucking
Vin.
population.
Yeah, no, I mean, once again, they all became
Or
gods.
Light Song.
They didn't become
Okay,
gods; they
first
became
off,
food.
First off, Light Song died long before he became a main character.
He
Oh,
died
that's
twice.
He fell twice.
He died long before he became a main character.
Who did I like in Warbreaker?
I think you liked Light Song, didn't you?
No,
I like Light Song.
I thought you both did. I thought you were both big fans of Light Song.
he was alright. He annoyed the fuck out of me.
I think
Low-key
you also
sometimes.
liked Vasher, didn't you?
Yeah,
You liked Vasher.
yeah, we all know you like Vasher.
Nightblood's my favorite character in Warbreaker. I like Light
Nightblood's
Song a lot too.
Nightblood is an inanimate object.
Nightblood has a person. he has a personality.
Yeah, a very stale one.
No, he's adorable. He's like a little kid.
He's
He wants to
rotting.
murder everyone.
He's just you. You can't like yourself. That's healthy.
I mean, you can.
No, that's healthy. You're not supposed to
That's
do
the
that.
whole point. What?
Anyways, the slave continues to prompt Kaladin for information on how he became a slave, but Kaladin is vague with his reply.
Mag?
He does give away that he can read glyphs, though, which interests the man. He also thinks about the man coughing, noting his symptoms and diagnosing him with the grindings. The slave asks what specifically got Kaladin his first set of brands, to which Kaladin replies that he killed a Light Eyes, but killing them wasn't what made him a slave, but in fact it was who he didn't kill. What do you think about Kaladin's response to how he became a slave?
I mean, it's pretty much true. If you kill one person, they can't really, tell anybody about you. So people you don't kill that end up making you a slave. That's for sure.
I didn't even think about it like that, Loki.
Hmm.
I thought about it more as in like
And dead men tell no tales. So
I thought about it more as in like oh, it's like somebody he couldn't kill
Hmm.
morally, like honor wise.
You think maybe like he like didn't kill like an enemy, like Light Eyes or something on the battlefield?
Maybe it could have been like a situation where he met like another child soldier.
'Cause he did have a thing for like kids and stuff. Maybe there was like a kid on the other
Yeah,
side of the
wait, he has
Don't
a
say
thing
battlefield.
like
for
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
no, I
thank
didn't mean
you
like
for
that.
that.
Okay,
Whoa.
look.
I know it's
Whoa.
funny because as soon as she said he has a thing for it, I knew where it was going.
I don't
Yeah.
mean it like that. You know it.
I don't know how you mean it.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe he does actually have a thing
No,
for kids.
he's
Oh,
no.
alright.
That's not
Oh,
a
alright.
thing.
And
He's
I
not
wouldn't put-
Strathventure.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
exactly. I was about to say I wouldn't put it past Brandon to put it in two books. So.
No. So hours pass, and Kaladin thinks about his Shash brand hurting and scabbing. He thinks back to his
Is that a
lessons.
shaft?
That's what I heard.
Shash,
That's what I heard.
I was like, what?
Shash, Shash brand.
Midnight.
Oh my
What is
God.
happening? to
What
you
is
today?
going on in your
It's your
brain?
guys'
Holy-
ears. It's your fault.
No, it's definitely your brain.
He thinks back to his lessons his father taught him about how to treat a burn, but it's an annoyance since he had nothing to treat his current burn. Kaladin also thinks that there are probably rot spread on his forehead that he'd be able to see if he had a mirror. It was getting dark now, and Kaladin notes Violet Celeste peeking over the horizon, and Talon's Scar, a swath of deep red stars, high in the sky. The one slave coughs again, and Kaladin thinks that at one point in his life he would have tried to help the man. However, after failing Tien, Dalit, his
At
squad,
one point in his life, he does.
and 10 groups of slaves, it was hard to find the will to help people again. 2 hours past the first moon, the slave master, Tvlakov, called a halt to the chull-pulled wagons, and his group begins to build a fire. A serving boy tends to the chulls, which are large crustaceans that were nearly as big as the wagons. Tvlakov then begins going around and giving a ladle of water to each of the slaves, and Kaladin reaches into his pouch for some blackbane leaves that he had picked some days earlier, although he wasn't sure what exactly he was going to do with them yet. So what do you think about these chulls, these big like crustaceans that are like as large as a wagon?
I found the part where I thought it was like a sibling,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, what was that?
but it might not be considering there's no actual
Wording now?
confirmation.
Yeah, the wording.
Yeah.
Now?
So you did just hallucinate it.
Nah, I mean he theorized.
It's because I saw, I think it's a male name, and then I saw the description of like, we'll get there. And what was the question?
What do you think about these chulls? They're like these big.
What the fuck is that troll?
They
the fucking
describe
crab-like
they're
creature
big
things that-
crabs that pull the wagons. They're like as
Yeah.
big as the wagon itself.
I know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah. I have
mean,
some of those.
Cool ass
Do you?
creatures, you know. Wait, you do? Sell me
Yeah.
one. Buy it from me. I want a giant crab to, carry my
Didn't.
shit around.
Oh. Wait, are they edible?
I mean, they're probably as edible as like any other crab. Like just
Maybe.
like people could like eat horses and stuff like that.
Well,
Like,
but that's
Who
different.
would eat a horse? What are you
Right.
talking about?
people
Right.
do
What
eat
the hell?
horses. What are you talking about? Horse meat is a
No,
thing.
why would you? No. Only in your fantasy, okay?
No,
Horses
that's a
are
thing.
wonderful, majestic
People
creatures.
eat
Nobody
horses.
would ever eat a horse. Just
I
like
wonder what
eating
zebra
dogs or
tastes like.
cats. Nobody eats dogs or cats.
You think zebra tastes different than horse?
I don't know. What
Horse meat is
test?
considered a delicacy in Mexico, Switzerland, Kazakhstan, Belgium, Japan, Germany, Indonesia, Poland, and China.
And
As
apparently
a pseudo Mexican, I
apparently
can
Canada.
deny that. No,
And apparently Canada.
No,
so.
not Canada. I'm just saying I'd heard of it before.
no, I don't.
No, it sounded
No
like
wonder
you-
y'all be riding horses as like what is it? Your
Uh-huh.
police force? I don't even know.
Apparently, in 2011, Italy was the top horse meat producer in Europe.
Yeah, you got it exported, huh?
Like you're just making it up
I'm
stuff
literally
now.
I'm googling shit.
Okay, just-
Minna, you be eating horse meat, huh?
No, I
do you
don't
believe
eat horse meat.
Do you believe everything you read?
I believe it when it comes from accurate sources.
Yeah. Well, how accurate?
The internet,
Online,
inaccurate
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
the
man.
one study was from the UN. So
Yeah. Oh man. And you believe them?
yeah, I do believe the UN.
Really? Oh.
Uh,
So you believe all the things that UN ever says, right?
I don't know. I don't know everything they've ever said. Anyways, what do you think about Kaladin having these blackbane leaves to either try to kill the slavers or kill himself?
I mean, why would he kill himself?
Well, he said it could be contingency plan if he like gives up.
Oh, so like a cyanide pill. Got it.
Yeah. He says he might use it to like kill off the slavers so he can escape, or he's like, if I decide to just finally give up, I could also use it for myself.
Man, it sounds like he's suicidal.
I mean, everyone he's ever known, it seems like, has died. He's been beaten.
I
and made a
mean,
slave. And
Honestly, I'm surprised if I'll be surprised if he doesn't change his name to Seth.
Zeth 2.0.
No. God damn.
That's his own goddamn fault, babe.
Is it though, or is it fate that he is like this?
So suddenly, a soft feminine voice asks what the leaves are that Kaladin has. It was a
Wow,
windspread.
this confused the fuck out of me.
Oh, the little spirit?
Little
Whatever
windspread.
the fuck this thing is.
It was a windspread that had taken the form of a young woman with long hair and a flowing white dress. She walks upwards through the air and tries to peek into Kaladin's hand and asks if it's treasure or a beetle. She then uses Kaladin's name, which startles him since Spren aren't supposed to be intelligent. Do you say something, Mythic?
So why not both?
The Windspren flits away, and Kaladin curses and wonders if he's going mad. Kaladin then goes to put the Blackbane leaves back in his pouch when the Windspren shows up again and asks why he doesn't fight like he used to. Kaladin again asks how the Spren knows his name, and she replies that she isn't sure, but it's polite to use a person's name. This continues to frustrate Kaladin, as he says Spren shouldn't know what being impolite means. The Windspren continues to ask why Kaladin doesn't fight, to which he says he's tired. He thinks about people being dead like Dalit and Sen, Tien, and he thinks about the corpse of a young girl. So is that what you were thinking of when you said like younger brother? Like young girl, maybe?
Probably. Yeah, I think that's where it was.
Hmm.
Also, I just realized this would be so much more better to like make a
More
movie
better?
out of. I guess, yeah, whatever. To make a movie out of than Mistborn, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I mean, we've only been 3 chapters in, so Hard
Okay,
to
but
tell.
like, this
People
is
really
like,
want Stormlight to be animated if it becomes anything.
it should be backwards.
See, I really want Stormlight to be live action and Mistborn to be animated, but everyone else
Yes!
is the opposite. And they're like, no,
Yes.
Stormlight needs to be... Everyone says that
No.
Stormlight needs to be animated because they're like, oh, like you won't be able to like do the Spren properly without so much like CGI, and you won't be able to like get like the lashings to look good, and you won't be able to like do this and that, and like it's so different from Earth looking and everything, and I'm like, I want a live action Stormlight.
man, I kind of do.
Right,
too.
me too. Even though it's the first few chapters, I want this to be a live action
Mhm.
rather than.
Also, what do you think
Spren.
about this Windspren?
Once again, it was confusing as shit.
I want to
Mhm.
collect them. Are they? They're different elements too, right?
So there's like Pain Spren, Rot Spren, Flame Spren. We've seen Music
Yeah.
Spren, Wind Spren. So it's like there's like fear or like motion based ones. There's like element based ones. There's like all
I want
sorts
to
of
collect
things.
them.
Do you want any pictures or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Just the ones we know.
Yeah. So Tvlaka then comes over to Kaladin's wagon, and Kaladin notes that the man is Thalen, meaning that he has long white eyebrows that he tucks behind his ears. He watches as the slaver and one of his men, Bluth, go towards the coughing men with a cudgel. As the men open the cage door, Kaladin suddenly calls out "Stop," causing Bluth to quickly slam the door shut again. Kaladin wanders over to the coughing man and tells the slavers that the man has the grinding coughs and that giving him extra water will keep him alive. Blackhoof has the coughing slave come out of the wagon, and for a second Kaladin thinks they're going to help the man, but instead Bluth beats him to death. So Kaladin curses the slavers and says the man could have lived, but Tlakov says that he was concerned about the others getting sick, and that the man was past saving. He also calls Kaladin a deserter. In his anger, Kaladin accidentally crushes the blackbane leaves in his hand, causing bits of them to fall to the grimy floor. The Windsprint darts around him, looking confused. So did you also think that Tlakov was going to let the coughing man live, or were you thinking, no, he's just going to kill him?
I was just thinking he was gonna die. I'll be right back though.
I knew that as soon as he opened his fucking mouth, it was over.
Fucking cursed him.
Honestly, at this point, he just.
I think they were
proved
going to kill him
himself right.
anyways. They were going to him to kill him before Kaladin said anything.
Well, you think so?
Because they were bringing the cudgel already before Kaladin even says anything. And they were like pointing at the
yeah.
coughing guy.
Why the fuck would they put him in there in the first place then?
Well, I'm assuming he got this like cough like after they picked him up or something. Like, it might just
Maybe,
be, like,
but he
getting
went in there already coughing though.
What do you mean?
Like he went in there like already coughing.
No, I'm
And
saying
he was
they've
like,
been on the road for days. Like he might have been coughing, like started coughing like after they started traveling.
that's what I'm saying. As soon as he got there, though, he was already coughing because we saw it from this dude's perspective.
Hmm.
So, like, you're telling me that while on the road and he was coughing, they were like, you know what? We're going to risk it and put him in there anyway because, like, it might not be bad, but we're going to literally immediately fuck him up, like, right after.
I don't know. They eventually were just like, yeah, this guy's been coughing too long. It's not just like a cold. Time to kill him off.
Time to just end him. You know.
Stupid. Waste of fucking money. Anyway.
Yeah, it was a waste of money. Like, fucking, like, goddamn, I wasted my money on this slave. Should have gotten a different one.
I'm telling you, like, they make no good financial decisions.
So next is chapter 3.
I would not be a good person.
The City of Bells, which is this is where we get the picture of the sky eels.
Sky eels?
I want one.
Yeah, the picture I sent you, all the sky eels.
Sky eels?
Yeah.
I sent the picture earlier.
I'm going up.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, these things. Yeah.
the sky eels.
They look cool. They look like Pokemon.
They look like Palmon for sure.
They actually, not Palmons, but pals. Anyway.
Yeah, they definitely look like Palmon for sure.
So the epigraph we get is, a man stood on a cliffside and watched his homeland fall to dust. The waters surged beneath, so far beneath, and he heard a child crying. They were his own tears. So it was collected on the 4th of Tenates, year 1171, 30 seconds before death. Subject was a cobbler of some renown. Did you have any thoughts about this epigraph?
Honestly, I didn't even realize the epigraphs were like happening.
It's the little paragraphs, but like they were kind of ass for me. So
Yeah, but I mean, like, what I'm saying is, like, listening to it, I don't even remember hearing.
oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because you're not like looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just don't have enough brain power to try to, you know.
That's fine. We've only gotten a few so far. You might have more thoughts.
That's
when
what
we
I'm
get more of
saying.
them.
Like,
Yeah, figure out who all the people are that are dying. You know.
So we switch to Shallan's point of view as she arrives in Kharbranth, the city of bells. She had never expected to travel, as she had thought she'd be kept in her father's manor until she was married, and then kept in her husband's manor after that. She holds her drawing book close as the ship is docked, and she looks up at the city built into a steep incline and facing the ocean. The buildings were painted in various colors and potentially made from crim. She blinks and affixes the image of the city into her memory. Sailors rush around the Wind's Pleasure, and Shallan thinks that the captain is a nice man, even if he is a pagan, and had always found a cove to hide the ship in during high storms. Captain Toesback was Thalen, and his eyebrows were over a foot long, which, goddamn.
Damn.
And he was a business connection of her family. Thinking of her family, she worries about their financial stability, as they need either a large infusion of wealth or some sort of edge to keep them from being left out of Vedan politics. Shallan thinks that her first order of business is to find Yasna. High storms have been mentioned here a few times now. So what do you think these high storms are?
like a really bad one.
Yeah, storms of hives. You know.
What do you mean hives? High. High.
Yeah, hives. Yeah, storms of hives.
Storms of storms of weed.
Oh gosh.
They make you high, bro.
Do you think they're like hurricanes, or do you think they're just like really windy, or like?
I was thinking of a thunderstorm, but okay.
You think it's like a thunderstorm?
I mean, I just thought maybe they were storms that were really way up high, you know?
Ah, I see.
High storms.
They're like
No,
storms
it's
from
not like
space.
high HIGH.
It is
It's like
HIGH.
high HI storms. High storms.
God. You see like a big like hand made of wind spread waving
It's like
at you.
waving. Every time it waves, there's like a fucking like a fucking air blast.
Yeah.
That would be also. First of all, let me clarify. I don't like this chapter. I don't like
What?
her in general.
I like she's literally like my favorite character in the first book. I love
It
her
makes
like
sense why I
stuff.
don't like her.
So far, I like her a lot.
I like her plot line, which you guys don't really know a huge amount yet, like because it's just the first chapter with her. Like I find her plot line to be like the most interesting one for at least 3/4 of the book. Like her plot
Really?
line is like I love her plot line. She was the one that kept me going.
Darkness.
I did not enjoy Kaladin's point of view for the first part of this book. I got really into his stuff like later, but like this was my first ever Cosmere book, and I was like, I don't give a fuck about Kaladin. I just want Shallan's chapters and only Shallan's chapters.
I don't like her, especially the fact where like I like when she banters with the sailor or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that part. I like when she treats him like a servant at some point. For like,
she treats
by
Yalb
accident.
like a servant. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that part, and that's about it.
I mean, you've only briefly met her. You might change your mind about her later.
I guess, but I guess I got triggered because of the politics stuff too.
I mean, she's like kind of nobility type person.
That doesn't excuse it. Like, just forego the politics and go fight a war or something.
She's a woman. She doesn't get to fight in wars.
She's a woman. What an excuse! Is that what you do, Midnight?
Yeah, I don't fight in wars. I'm a woman.
Yeah, she's Canadian.
I'm a good born woman.
See,
I don't fight in war.
being a Canadian is a better excuse than being a woman.
Yeah, she doesn't fight in war. She's Canadian.
Canadians
She's
do a
not
lot of
American.
wars.
Yeah, they just walk up and say sorry, and then somehow everything works.
How the fuck do y'all survive? Like,
What do you mean? There's been like I think in
Canadian-
some of like the
Canadian
older
war
wars,
is
like
actually
Canada was
bad.
like
Canadian,
badass.
Canada is actually really good at war.
Yeah, we've been badass in
They-
wars in the past.
They get a bad rap because the whole sorry thing.
But yeah, so
because they
Tozbek
have like snowmen and wood nymphs on their side.
Tozbek comes over and says he
More
sent a
like
man.
meat moose.
Oh, you're right. They bring moose to battle.
Tozbek comes over. Can I continue?
No, you
No.
cannot. We're
No.
having our moment. You're not letting us do it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. We were having a discussion here. All right.
right. As a like, what the fuck are you? Like, I was gonna say as a master of the podcast.
Host.
There you go. You're supposed to let us have our little moment.
You guys aren't even talking about the books though.
What do you mean? This is war strategy.
Oh my gosh. Tozbek comes over and says he has sent a man out to try and find the princess, and he calls Shallan Brightness. Shallan nods and looks out at the city some more, thinking about her home country of Yaakoved, and how Kharbranth is a city-state that people generally flock to even though it has little land. Due to this, she saw a variety of foreign people and also a lot of parshmen carrying cargo around the docks, noting that the marbling of their skin was unique to each of them. Shallan then thinks about how she's been chasing Yasna for 6 months, as Yasna obviously didn't think her important enough to wait for. She was one of the most powerful people, but also a professed heretic. She thinks it is likely that Yasna is already gone, and she'll have to negotiate with the captain to continue bringing her from port to port until they catch the princess, although Shallan had already used up half the spheres that she had brought with her. However, suddenly a man runs up to the ship and says that their chase is over, causing Shallan to bless the heralds. So do you have any thoughts about Yasna traveling around so much? Do you think she's trying to avoid Shallan, or is she like doing something important, or is she just like busy?
I thought she wasn't gonna fight. Why does she have spears?
Spheres! It's the money!
This book is gonna fuck you over so much. What's the question?
I said, do you have any thoughts about why Jasna was traveling around so much? Like, was she specifically trying to avoid Shallan, or is she like doing important work, or is she just like busy?
She obviously has an objective of like political value, like, which by the way, fuck that shit. I don't know about it, but
So Tozbek states that it must be Shallan's beauty that brought them this fortune, and Shallan hesitates at first, but then replies that must mean that her lack of beauty was why they didn't find Jasna sooner. Apparently her brothers had encouraged this insolent streak in her, even though her tutors had been stern. Tazbek replies that it isn't true and that she is as beautiful as the sunrise, to which Shallan replies that he means she is far too red and prone to making men grouchy. Tazbek then calls her as pretty as a flower, and Shallan replies that she's allergic to flowers, and that men must be as well, since they often stay away from her. However, she then apologizes and says women shouldn't act in such an irritable way, but the captain says the crew will miss her. As Tazbek continues with port operations, Shallan thinks that she is too pale in a society that favors the Alethi tanned skin, and although she has light blue eyes, her red hair isn't the ideal black due to the mixing of races in her heritage. The captain then comes back over to Shallan to let her know where in the city Yasna is, and that a man named Yalb will show her there. Before she leaves, she says a Thaylen phrase to him, and he replies that they'll wait for 2 days in case things don't work out with Yasna. So what do you think about Shallan and the captain's interactions?
I thought it was,
For pirates.
yeah, I thought it was really cool, to be honest. They're back and forth.
They seem to get along well.
That's the only interesting part I saw. Oh, and the sketching. That's cool.
Yeah, she's a good artist. Oh, I think I was telling Mythic. I think I was telling him before the podcast started, but a lot of the drawings that we see, especially the ones like the sky eels, like stuff of like animals and like nature. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're mostly drawn by Shallan.
Yeah, I figured.
So Shallan then heads down to the dock, keeping her free hand on the railing and her safe hand covered by a sleeve of her dress that was button closed. Dark-eyed women were allowed to wear a glove, but light-eyed women needed to have more modesty. She thinks that, like Alethkar and Jakaved, Kharbranth was a beaten country where writing was a women's art and men only learned glyphs, while letting their wives and sisters read for them. She had been uncomfortable seeing the captain of the ship with books, as only ardent men were allowed to read where she was from. Shallan also notices the Parshmen and thinks that her father had owned Parshmen as he preferred them to slaves. She notes that the Parshmen are docile and practically mute, which makes it seem odd that the Alethi were fighting Parshmen on the Shattered Plains, although she does note that the Parshendi are apparently a bit different to Parshmen. On the dock, she also notices animals such as sky eels, tiny crabs, and a prowling mink. She couldn't help but take out her sketchpad and draw the sky eel. So what did you think about the animals on Roshar? Like there's a lot of like crabs and like these sky eels.
I love how we're getting an actual fucking list of animals that are on this planet. That's the craziest, not just fucking horses and fucking that one Black Panther Jaguar thing that we saw in fucking Warbreaker mentioned or whatever.
Yeah. Roshar is very like ocean-like, even on land, so there's a lot of like crustacean and like eels and stuff as creatures, even on land.
Think of the money you can make on sushi. Like,
But apparently there are still horses and minks and stuff.
sky eels taste good.
So a man pulling a canopied seat came along with Yalb and speaks in a foreign language. Yalb translates, asking if Shallan wants to go the long way to see the city or the short way with less good views. Shallan replies that she'd prefer the short way. As they go, Shallan notices that shops were colored based on what they sold, and houses seem to have patterns on them. Yalb translates for the man pulling the small carriage, saying that the city is special because of the late. Shallan thinks that many cities are built into lates to protect them from high storms, although Kharbranth is the most protected. As they get to a more congested roadway, Shallan notes that every street lamp and building seems to have a bell attached to it that rings in the wind. She can also hear clock bells ringing out the hour. Eventually, they get to the building at the top of the city, which is painted white. Yalb then begins arguing with the carriage puller, who apparently wants to overcharge Shallan for the ride. He then tells her that 2 clear chips should be enough, but the man had wanted to charge Shallan 5. Shallan opens her pouch of spheres, different colored lights illuminating her face, and gives the man 3 clear chips. She thinks that emeralds hold the most value as they can be used by soulcasters to make food. So yeah, what do you think about the fact that emeralds can be used to make food somehow?
It reminds me of the make water thing from the sand one.
The sand.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Mythic?
I said it actually sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Making food like that.
Kind of food. Like any food?
They don't specify, they just say food.
They're like, here, give me an emerald and I'll give you spaghetti.
I'll make you some McDonald's. But yeah, also what do you think about the money system here with like these like glass spheres that have like little pieces of gemstones in them of
I would
varying
never
sizes?
spend emeralds. Ever.
Oh man. Yeah.
Also, it's a little awkward that like you open your pouch and people know how much like at least the
Right.
types of money you have because of the colors. They're like, oh, she's got some red light in there.
Look at all those lights. Oh my
Green!
god.
She has green!
Yeah, I think she says that she
Kill her now.
she hides her more valuable spheres in like her safe pouch, which is a pouch that is hidden in your safe hand sleeve.
This is where I would be wearing like baggy sleeves and like just baggy clothes in general. In nighttime, I'm like glowing like a fucking Twilight vampire.
Oh gosh.
I mean, you do that anyways, so.
Oh.
So once the carriage puller is paid, Shalon gives Yalp a ruby mark, also called a fire mark, for his help, and also to have him wait here for a few hours in case she returns. Shalon then enters the conclave, which is lit by diamond bromes and lamps. She raises her free hand, and a servant comes over and asks her what she needs, to which she replies that she is looking for Yasna Colon. The dark-eyed man says he will return, and Shalon thinks that he is likely of the second non, meaning he is high-ranking for a dark-eyed man.
Wait, what chip did she give him?
To Yalp?
Not chip. Yeah.
She
What
gave
like?
him a ruby mark, so like the
Okay.
middle ruby.
Yep.
That's not that much.
I mean, it's worth 50.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth like
Which is, like-
25 times what she gave, or more, less than 25 times. She gave him 3 chips for the ride, but like it's worth a decent amount.
No, she should have given him at least a sapphire.
So as she waits, Shalon thinks about callings, which in Vorin belief was one's task to which they dedicated their life. Shalon had chosen natural history as her calling, even though art had called to her as she was very good at drawing. She longed to be a scholar, which was one of the reasons she has searched out Yasna Colon to become her ward. So what do you think about these callings where it's like, okay, this is the thing that you dedicate your life to?
I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean,
She chose it. She chose it, right?
Yeah, she gets to
It
choose
gives
it
you
herself.
Purpose.
You see, that's what I like because I wish we had more of that here.
Mm.
Simply because it seems like you could just like either. I like the idea of having like a mastery in something, you know.
Yeah, because it's kind of like it's partially religious and like also like schooling wise, like it's like this is what you want to do with your life, and this is what will also get you like into heaven, basically. Like if you do good at your calling, you get to go to the afterlife. Like you have
Okay,
an
but like
afterlife.
regardless, like
But yeah,
of like
it's
other
nice that she got
religious
to choose
aspects.
her own, and it's not like her dad forced her into
Yeah,
one.
I feel like if me personally, and if I were in that situation, I would be thriving my ass off, like just like master of like my element.
You have any thoughts on calling, Smithic?
Oh, 1 second. Sorry, I was eating. Yeah, I like it. It gives people purpose.
So one of the books that she had read claimed that Carbranth had been founded during the Shadow Days, before the Last Desolation. This meant that it would be thousands of years old, founded before the terrors of the hierocracy, before the recreants, and when Voidbringers were said to have stalked the land. So just a bunch of random names of historical shit there, which mean
Oh
nothing
yeah,
to you guys
totally
yet.
didn't have to. Well, yeah, totally didn't have to do with that one thing we read about how they had all the swords there and the fucking desolation. Shit,
Yeah, Desolation you've heard the word before, but hierocracy and recreants you haven't.
Okay, but like we can assume that that last stance they had actually worked out because there's no fucking what's it called, Voidbringers or whatever.
Yeah, apparently there's been no more Voidbringers, so like they said they were gonna lie about winning, but apparently they've done a good job at keeping away the Voidbringers.
That doesn't mean they won though.
It doesn't technically mean they won, but they've at least obviously
Kept them
held
away,
off.
so it worked out. Yeah,
That one guy has
They're
held
still
off the
fucking
Voidbringers by
fighting.
himself
right.
for like 4,500 years.
I'm telling you, he's in there. He's gonna come out and he's gonna be like, "Why the fuck?"
He's like, you bastards! I'm gonna kill you all. I've joined the Voidbringers.
They're like dead. He's the final boss for sure. I'm telling you right here right now.
So the servant then returns and begins to lead Shalon away. She thinks that it was said that Yasna would be considered a master scholar if she didn't denounce religion, especially the devotaries that good foreign women would join. Worship was the best way to be schooled. Wardship was the best way to be schooled.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah,
Nice.
wardship was the best way to be schooled in the feminine arts: music, painting, writing, logic, and science. Whereas men would train in the honor guard of a bright lord that they respected. What do you think about the topics that are considered feminine arts and how men basically just train to become soldiers, and that seems to be all that's important to them?
Men, all about men. Make a man out of you.
The women seem to be doing more stuff.
Yeah, as I said before, I feel like the women got it good.
I mean, until a woman wants to be in war.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
soldier.
if you want to do anything but be a soldier, being a woman is great. If you want to be a soldier, you don't really want to be a woman. At least not
I
in a
feel like-
Warren Kingdom.
Being a soldier would be the way I would definitely go though.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd probably end up like Sen. Just get killed on the battlefield at 15.
I feel like I'm like crazy enough to work it out.
So the servant then stops and gestures for Shalon to enter a room off the right of the hallway. She thinks that the fate of her family rests on her shoulders. Her father was dead, and that needed to remain a secret. However, House Devar owed great debts, and without her father, the creditors would soon be making demands. Because of her father, they were loathed by the other houses, even their allies. Preventing disaster to her family was what brought Shallan to Jasna, as she strides into the room. So what do you think about this position that Shallan and her brothers are in, with their father being dead and like owing a bunch of debt to people, and also apparently pissing everyone off?
Father? We love fathers in stories.
Oh yeah, the fathers in Cosme Works are always great.
Yeah.
We had a good dad once, right?
No. Never.
Have we not?
Oh,
Kelsey's-
Serene's
Kelsey's-
dad.
Nope.
Good.
Serenity
Chelsea's
said was
the dad.
terrible. He sent her away.
She
He was
wanted
annoying
to
as
get
fuck. What the fuck
married.
do you mean?
He
He was a
sent
good
her
guy.
away. He was
No,
going
but
to
didn't
give
he
up
do
his
some-
other. He was supposed to give up his other daughter.
No, that's the wrong
And
dad.
he-
That's the wrong dad. That's
Okay,
Ciri
I was
Vivenna's
gonna say,
dad.
No,
I'm
but
talking
wait,
about
no,
Elantra's
even
girl.
the Elantra's
Who's
dad
Serenity?
was not good either.
He
Wait, who
was.
is Serena's dad?
No, he does something that pissed me off. I don't remember what it is, but he does something that
Serene's
pisses
dad
me off.
was the one who kept saying, Serena, you just need to come home. You don't have to, like, if the guy's dead, you don't have to, like, stay there. Just come home and be with me.
It's somewhere when she was involved with the priest, I think.
Mm.
And I guess they were like threatening his shit or something.
Oh, yeah, they were threatening him because, like, she was fake made into an Elantrian. And he's like,
He
yeah, I'll do whatever
did
you want.
something. He did something. I don't remember what he did.
I think
but
he was
like,
willing to give over his country, and that pissed you off.
yeah, I think that made me upset. Like, why the fuck would you do that shit?
I
Yeah,
don't know. I actually think you were right. Yeah, I think he's the only one that's been.
He's been the best dad
Halfway
so far, I
decent.
think. I'm trying to think of
No.
any other dads that were any good.
I think Rowden's dad was good.
What?
Yeah, the guy who was naked sacrificing maids, for sure.
I'm joking. uh,
I mean, Darkness, you have to at least agree that Serenity's dad was the best of the ones we've got so far.
no,
No? So who would be better than him?
none of them. They don't deserve. You see,
Oh my
the difference is that I don't need a dad because I never had one. So
Anyways, yeah. So
now
like,
a mother figure, they're always there, but
Or
they're never
dead.
like mentioned. Yeah,
I think most of the time they're dead.
Yep. Or just not mentioned in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need like a woman ruler.
Have we had a mother yet? Wait, has anybody had a mother?
I think Serene has a mother. She's just not. Or they just don't mention her much. She mostly talks with her dad.
Who's Serene?
The Elantris girl.
What? Yeah.
No, she died.
Her mother died. Yeah.
Did she?
Well, she
Sure.
passed
I
on
know-
her Seon.
I know. Oh yeah, that's true. She did pass on her Seon. You're correct.
Mhm.
No, I think she passed it on when Serene was born. I don't think she had to be dead for her to pass on the Seon. She gave it to Serene.
No,
when
she's
she was
dead. I was there. I made it happen.
Okay, Darkness. I think the only mother we ever like got a mention of and like kind of met would have been Vin's mom, who was a fucking bitch.
No, Serene's mom is still alive because it mentions how she prayed for her and Serene's marriage to Rowden to go well. She just
What?
was. She also Serene also mentions how her mom kept trying to put her dad on a diet so that he would lose weight.
That was a stepmother.
No, that's Rowden who has the stepmom.
Rowdy's
you're
the
right.
stepmom.
Yeah,
All
Rowden's
right,
mom.
the only mother in the entire Cosmere so far, because the other one was not the mom.
What was her name? Fuck, what was her name?
Who?
Was it Blushweaver?
What about Blushweaver?
What? Yeah. What?
She is mother.
Okay.
Oh my god. Okay.
Anyways, yeah. Did you guys have any thoughts about this position that Shallan and her brothers are in?
Oh wait, you know what? We do have another mother. What the fuck's her name? The girl who was with the king, with the God King or whatever.
Ceres? Oh, Ciri has like
Yeah.
the mother figure of Mab, who's the cook.
Yeah. See, so we have a better mother. There we go.
Her
Mab.
actual mom's dead though.
Oh, no. Mab is the mother of all protagonists.
Anyways, back to this book. Any other thoughts about Shallan and her brothers?
Oh, we got a grandmother too. I'm sorry.
Any other thoughts about Shallan's family? No.
No. I don't like her,
No.
so no.
So, overview questions. First of all, did you have any thoughts on these epigraphs? Who do you think is collecting them? Because these are like, I mean, I think wouldn't really be able to see it, but you can kind of tell from the way they're written is that they're collected as like notes. Like people are collecting these like final words of
Mythic.
people.
Mythic. What voice does the epigraph
Same
have?
voice, it's the same voice as everybody else's.
Really?
The female makes it like actually the female speaker actually makes a voice for when they talk. The guy doesn't. And the guy's usually the one that's doing all the epigraphs. They don't really have a specific voice that they're doing for the epigraphs like they did in the other one. It's unfortunate.
Good. No, that's good.
But yeah, so who do you think is collecting these final words and why?
This fucking scholar, whatever.
You think it's Yasna?
Seth. I think it's Seth.
I think it's Seth. He's collecting like, the
Mhm.
final words of like the people he kills.
Yep. Seth. It's all Seth.
You know what? That would make sense. Because they died right before, right?
I mean, we do know he does know how to write because he's not Vorin, because he's from Shinovar.
Well, he wrote it in blood, so it makes sense that he knows how to write.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We know that he can write. It could
Why
be.
does Kaladin look like Jesus?
I've told Jesus that he needs to cosplay as Kaladin.
He does though. He looks so
I
much like
know.
Jesus. It's crazy.
The only thing that's different is so I think everyone except for the Shin
Jesus
people
isn't built
have
like that, yeah.
like the Asian Asian styles where they have like the what is it called empathic folds.
Okay.
But yeah, that's just a thing. Everyone has like
I mean, that reminds me of Seth.
Yeah, kind of.
Bald.
because I'm white. I'm not bald.
Black
Also,
and white. Yeah.
do you think we'll see Zeth again? Do you think he's gonna like come in and out, kind of like Vasher did in like Warbreaker and stuff, or do you think we're not really gonna like get another point of view from him?
We got another one because I like
I
him.
think you should cosplay her.
Who?
I can't
Shower?
say her name. Yeah,
I mean, I could
do it.
have
Who?
the hair. Shallow.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, Shalon. Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
You
Shalon.
could Mythic. The red hair.
I mean, I could also technically do Kaladin too, even
I
though
feel like-
Kaladin looks a lot more like Jesus.
He's a lot more tanned, I think, than you are.
I don't know what you're talking about. I work out in the sun. I am very tan.
I mean, the couple pictures I saw of you, you were pretty pale.
Oh well, yeah, but I mean,
I'm just saying,
Gosh,
I've
I
only
will-
seen like 2 pictures of you, and you were pale at those. Okay.
no, the one picture I sent you, that was just, like more red than anything. What are you talking about?
I mean, maybe. You weren't tanned.
I mean, hey, I was red.
But yeah. Also, do you think Zeth is the only person who has these Stormlight Field powers? Because he says that like no one's seen the powers that he uses for like a millennia. So do you think he's the only one with them, or do you think there's like other people like?
No, there's
also with
other
them?
people. I've seen them. I work with them. I
Yeah,
am
I'm
them.
sure. What do you think, Mythic?
Just hey, the question again. Sorry.
Do you think Zeth is the only person with these Stormlight Field powers?
Oh no, not at all.
Right, that's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, not at all. I was like,
Mythic and Hype, we're part of those people.
okay, I'm not part of him. All right, but
No, we're not part of him, but we're part of
Mm.
those people.
No.
With powers.
no, definitely not.
Also, what do you think is going to happen to Kaladin? Like, where do you think Kaladin's story is going?
He's gonna end up getting killed as a slave.
He's going into the sexual aspect of
What?
Oh my god.
his work line.
He's gonna become a
Oh.
prostitute.
At this
Slave.
point,
Slave prostitution.
he's lucky enough, you know.
Damn. Also, what do you think is going to happen with Shalon's story arc?
Don't really care.
I think do you have any thoughts about where Shalon's story might go?
Do they all meet?
Very
know.
political. I think it's going down the political route.
Right, and that's exactly why I don't care.
I mean, she wants to be a scholar. It might be more like research than
Politics.
political.
It's okay.
Isn't she like nobility or some shit?
She's like not like super high ranking nobility. She's like kind of like one of like you know how in Mistborn they had all the different houses. She's like kind of like one of the outer houses in Yakaved. Yasna is though the sister to the king. So because Elhokar took over from his dad, he confirmed in Shalon's chapter.
I just want more point of views from the pirates.
They're not pirates, they're
They're just
sailors.
merchants.
That's why I told you I prefer pirates, but
I know. I think the pirates.
pirates have a different R than them.
They're a privateer.
Whose story do you think you guys are going to be most interested in out of the characters
Sen.
we've seen so far?
Sen.
Sen has no more story.
That's the only story I wanted. I'm done with the book. I don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Who do you think, Mythic? Whose story are you most
Shalom.
interested
I'll
in?
probably
Shalom.
stick with the slave.
I like the politics aspect. It's fun.
I'll stick
I mean-
with the slave.
I mean,
You think Kaladin?
I can't wait.
The
I can't wait to see
slave.
some battles, some fights. But
Yeah, that's all I wanted. That fucking like low key, bro. When they were doing like all the battlefield shit, that was the best fucking part. That's like so good.
So yeah, that's our first episode of Way of Kings. Next time we will be doing chapters 4 through 7. Doing 4 more chapters. We'll look forward to that. And thank you guys all so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
I